Hi everyone, great to be here today. Thanks so much for the invitation for Artemis to present. It's just lovely to be here in Saik'uz territory, and of course I want to acknowledge that our Vanderhoof office is on the traditional unceded territory of Saik'uz Nation, as well as part of our transmission line, which we'll chat a little bit about later on. Do you want me just to, is it here? And left, right, up, down, which one? Left, okay. Left, right, okay. Yeah, okay, I'll figure it out. We'll go from there. So the purpose of my presentation today is just to maybe provide folks with a high-level overview of what's going on with the Blackwater project. I know many in the room are familiar with it, but I also recognize that some people may not be. So by all means, we welcome questions either here today, time permitting, and then also, of course, in our office or at any time you want to funnel them through Cassandra or to us directly. Happy to answer that. We always put this on here. It's about investors. You can read the fine print, but it's a disclaimer. Don't trust my investment advice is essentially what that sums up to. So again, we're going to just talk a little bit about a project overview, tell you a little bit about how mines develop and where we're at in that process, a little bit about where we are in our timeline for construction and some key dates that might be coming up, talk a little bit about the general socioeconomic benefits you might see from the project, as well as the business and employment opportunities, which are the standard types of questions we tend to get, and tell you a little bit about our community feedback mechanism. So Blackwater project, for those of you that may not know, is of course an open pit gold silver mine, and so it'll be operated about 2.5 hours south of here on the Cluskis Forest Service Road on the north face of Mount Davidson. The actual mine site will have a central processing mill, and we'll look at producing a combination of gold doré bars so that they're melted down into concentrate, and those bars are removed from site. So there'll be a tailings storage facility that occurs. There's a water treatment plant, as well as office and camp, and all the things that are needed to have that be a self-sustained site. Off-site infrastructure, so we do have a 135-kilometer transmission line that hooks up near Indaco and goes across land to power up the mine site. And so that transmission line will allow us to be one of the most carbon neutral gold mines in North America. So eventually what we're hoping here is that our mining fleet will be electrified and then rely or lessen our reliance on diesel to be able to fuel things to get the mine going. So right now too, we access the mine site, for those that are familiar with the area, at 146 on the Cluskis, but we're actually going to put a new mine access road in at about 121 kilometer that'll allow for some better road use there, and also have a freshwater supply pipeline that comes from Tattlecus Lake. So this map just kind of shows the mine site in relation to the territory. So maybe I'll just walk over real quick. So down in the bottom, that's the actual mine site. You can see the pink line there that shows Saik'uz territory. So it actually goes up right close to Tattlecus Lake. Oh, that's like a walk and talk mic, hey? That might work better for me. I have a hard time standing still. And so this will allow, you can see the territory there in pink is Saik'uz, of course. So large territory, we're just outside with the actual mine site. And a common question we get is around the transmission line, and this just provides a little bit of an overview of what the breakdown of that 135 clicks is by territory. So you kind of get an idea there of how it spans across the 3 Harris First Nation tribe territories in which we work with. Mining. How does mining life cycle work? Well, before I started mining, I had no idea. I thought it was, when I was first hired with the Gold project, I was told we're building a mine, and that was in 2013, and I thought we would be building a mine later that same year. Here we are almost 10 years later, and we're at the point where hopefully we'll be building a mine with our permitting process. So it does take a number of years, and there are a number of steps that we go through in the process. So and we're currently right around the third phase there. So we're actually looking at, as Cassandra mentioned, we're in the final stages of that Major Mines Act permitting. So we're anticipating that we'll get that a little bit later this year. And then when that's going, then there'll be some construction and then operations, which we'll talk a little bit more, then eventually closure and reclamation. This is rather light, so hopefully folks can see it in the back. If you can't, by all means, just go ahead and and ask some questions. So what we're anticipating is that those major mine act permits will actually hopefully get those by the end of this year, and then we'll have a decision on construction. So for construction for the actual mine site is projected to take about 18 months to build the mill and all the processing facility. And at the same time, we're hoping that that construction would also start on that transmission line, so that 135-kilometer transmission line. And so depending on when that starts, of course, you know, just like you're building anything, if it starts in winter, it might take you a little bit longer to how that works, but we're anticipating that to be about a 14 to 16-month construction time period that happens for the transmission line, with the idea of being, of course, that the power would be ready to hook up to the mill site when that's all done to get ready for production and have those first gold pours happen in the first half of 2024. So what have we been doing so far? And we talked a little bit about this earlier. So we did get our environmental assessment approval in 2019. We do have what we call is an early works permit, and that's been in place since last summer, but we actually haven't started thinking about early works yet. Might actually happen starting in September, and that's a really small construction period that would happen only at the mine site, some tree clearing that goes on there in preparation of being able to get some laydown and build some stuff that would happen for that, the mine permit being approved. But of course we can't start the actual construction of the mine until we have that major mines permit. So that's what that's our major catalyst that's going to be able to look forward to moving forward to that construction. So as Cassandra mentioned, we've been working really closely with Saik'uz. We have a number of committees that we go through and we look at and discuss our management plans, and we go along with your technical experts from Source Environmental. So we've been taking, collaborating on feedback and comments and seeing how we can tweak our plans for operations and our management plans for the mine to make it a better project moving forward. So just to maybe give you an idea of some of the milestones that we've reached, transmission line actually back almost a year ago to the day there was an MOU that was announced with Carisbrook, Rest Park, and a numbered company there, which actually represents the 3 Cares Nations for the transmission line. So the idea being that contract would go out to that group to be able to build and construct that transmission line. So things that are a little bit different from Artemis and New Gold. So initially New Gold was proposing that they would do all the construction themselves. Artemis has a slightly different development plan for the project, and that means securing what we call EPCs, or engineering, procurement, and construction. So these are people that we subcontract out to. They build those facilities and then kind of hand the keys over to us, and then we use that going forward to operate. So we have one construction company that we have, Sedgman, that will do the mine site, and the other, the 3-way partnership there, that will do the transmission line. And another big thing with mining is, just like if you're building a house or planning anything, or you want to say you try and buy an appliance now, you can't just go out and get it anymore. You got to, we almost call it a long lead item. So for things like our mining fleet, so what kind of haul trucks are we going to be using, what kind of machinery, we actually need to put those orders 18 to 24 months in advance before you think that you're going to need them, so that they can be ready to go in that time frame. So just this past July, we signed an agreement with Caterpillar to provide our on-site fleets that they'll have there, with an option in year 6, so around 2029, to be able to look at that electrification of that fleet. So we're looking to, again, reduce that reliance on diesel at the mine site. So some of the general socioeconomic benefits. These benefits just kind of talk about what might happen for our region, which stretches as far west as Burns Lake, up to Fort St. James, down to Quesnel, and over into Anaheim Lake. So really what we're looking at is about $335 million in construction activities, so that's over that 18-month period. Looking at $464 million a year, with about 83% of the total benefits in terms of jobs and supporting staff trying to be in our region. And I don't share these numbers just to say they're big numbers. They are, but I think more importantly what it shows is that the project has the ability to fundamentally change some of the economics in the region and how we may look at some of the jobs and creation that goes forward. So there's a number of shared positive benefits that communities across our region could possibly see coming from Blackwater. So really, employment, we're expecting that some of those, most of the employment that's going to come, of course, in this next little bit is going to be out of that construction uptick that you see. So we're estimating that there'll be about 588 jobs total that you might see come out of the next 18, 24-month period, with of course the bulk of those going to our consultants or our construction partners there with 450. Artemis is a relatively new company, so we're just growing our team, managers, engineers, those types of things. Those are the folks that you see a lot of hiring now, and then they'll pick up a little bit more. There are some active job postings for both general laborers and machine operators that are on our website, and I know that we've got a lot of questions about those in the past, so I would encourage folks to take a look, and or you can ask Valerie questions. We're here today and we can share a little bit about if you don't see a job on there too, maybe we might expect to see it coming up, but you'll see them start to increase over 2023 and into 2024. There's also a number of business opportunities that we have. So let's say you already have a business and you're looking to how can you maybe put your equipment to work on site, or you're thinking about developing a business, you have a business idea and you want to learn how to grow that. We have a business development team, and they're available there, and they can talk to you a little bit about funding opportunities or how those ideas that you have towards businesses might work to be developed at Blackwater. So there is an online business directory. If you've got a business already, by all means, please go ahead and register it. And if you need any help with that, you're welcome to stop by the Vancouver office or chat with one of us. In terms of contracting, this is another thing we get about people that want to learn how to be a contractor on site. So we do have a pre-qualification process, and it does have a focus on local and Indigenous content in terms of business and how we award those contracts. So some of those contracts, up to 10% of that value of that contract could be benefited for folks that have a joint venture or a partnership with another company that's Indigenous or has Indigenous employees and local employees. So that's something that we're rewarding in our RPF process to be able to get people to, again, see some of those local benefits flow back to the communities in which we work. And there's the bid evaluation here, just talks a little bit more about it. We very much focus in looking on those bid projects of what's local, what's regional, what's provincial, what's national, what's international. So that's how we look at trying to supply goods and services for the site. Of course, acknowledging that some of those specialized activities, like our folks at Sedgman, those are international. There's usually only a couple of people that actually have the skill set and experience to build mine sites. So that's what we look at. But really what we look at is that 10% in terms of content. So we're looking for people that have Indigenous businesses or persons hired. And it's not just the number of people. Sometimes you see at other companies where maybe it's like you've got one person, but they might work 4 hours a week and they count that as one person. We're actually looking at the numbers of hours worked, and again, to try to maximize content and income that's coming in through those partnerships. And it goes everything from programming and inclusion policies. And then finally, we want to know how we're doing. So we just launched a community feedback mechanism. So this is a public opportunity to share comments that you have about the site or about what we're doing. I call it beefs and bouquets. So something's going well, tell us about it. If you feel we're not doing something well, we want to hear about that too. We have a defined process to go through and resolve any complaints or grievances that we have, and we report those back out to communities. So it's email, telephone,